the Jewish population, there was 10% in the service.
Oh,
Polish group that formed here in Windsor.
right.
They escaped from Poland.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were in the service in the Polish army, but once the Nazis took over, they took off. And
He was in the Polish army.
and one of them was a cousin of mine that he escaped and got into New York. When he heard about it, he came down here and he joined it. And they formed, I was going to Patterson Collegiate at the time, and their first barracks was the Burroughs building on the corner of McDougal and Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were kept on coming over, and the place got too small, so they moved them over on Drouillard and Riverside,
Mm-hmm.
where
Right.
it was a bit, a bigger building.
Right by the Catholic Church there, Roman
Mhm.
Catholic Church.
And then they went over, and actually, they spearheaded quite a few of the battles, and that's the reason the Canadians were in such good shape.
Is that right? That's interesting.
And,
That's
and,
very
and
interesting.
he's the one that got decorated
Mm-hmm.
a couple of times. I don't remember the name of the medals that he got,
Right.
but he was decorated, and he was one of the very lucky ones that came back, because
Sure.
their losses were very, very high
High,
on account of they were the spearheads.
Right.
Brothers, right.
Originally just toys and
Yeah,
souvenirs,
yeah,
and then we
yeah.
expanded to. We were one of 3 Sony distributors in Ontario. They haven't had any for years. We distributed Sony, Hitachi. We
They were
introduced
quite big.
Sony in Windsor. I used to go around to the furniture stores, and quite a few would say Sony. Where they made? And I'd say Japan. Oh no. We buy only American and Canadian televisions and radios and so on. And so until it got established that they were the Rolls Royce. But we introduced Hitachi in Windsor. Hitachi became the first television company in the world to eliminate tubes, and they were all transistors.
I joined in December 1942, and I got out in June 1945.
And did you?
Well, went from Windsor to Chatham for basic training. From Chatham, shipped to Ippawash for advanced training. And after advanced training, I was interviewed. I was supposed to go to first aid classes, and they were supposed to ship me to Halifax to drive an ambulance. So about 2 weeks later, my name was called, and I was put on the draft and put on the train. And nobody knew where we were going. And then after a couple of days on the train, they took us out for a walk, and one of the fellows hollered over to somebody that was walking on the sidewalk, "Where are we?" He says, "Winnipeg." And I ended up in Terrace, British Columbia, and joined the Kent Regiment. And I was with the Kent Regiment until I got out. Well, I was a mechanic driver, and well, like I said, they shipped me out west, and I was out there during all the time, and most of the time I was out on the island in Tofino. When we were in Tofino, we used to get like a 48-hour pass every month or every 2 weeks, whatever they get, but we had no place to go, so they allowed us to accumulate it and add on to our furlough.
Oh.
And you were allowed like a 14-day furlough every year.
Every year.
And we were allowed, so I had furlough instead of a 14-day, I had it for about 40 days because all that other accumulated, and everybody was wondering why I was home for so long.
Sure, they thought you went AWOL or something.
Yes, but it was all perfectly legitimate. And well, like I say, I was out there, and when the war was over in May of 1945, they wanted volunteers for to go into Japan, and I volunteered, and I got a medical. And when I got the medical, they says, "You're not going to be in the army very long." And I was shipped back to London, and that's when I got out in June 1945. Actually, I came from Poland. I was 11 years old when I came, and the town that I came from, the Nazis, from what we hear, the Nazis marched in and just killed all the Jews in that town.
Yeah.
So there was only 2 survivors. I guess they escaped. One of them was a cousin of mine, and he escaped, and I don't know, he got into England, but they wouldn't take him in the army. He went into an airplane factory. He started working in there. And then, I think around 1950, 51, he got into San Francisco and worked for United Airlines until he retired.